Want me to do it? You got it, or I'll
I
go.
got it.
Okay, go,
I
go,
know you're
Smiley.
dealing with computer issues, so I'll go. So here we are. It's June 20th. It is MVP office hours. It is awesome to see all of you again this week. I am Squire Kirshner. I'm joined by my best friend in the whole world, Joy Shutter-Helving, and a whole bunch of new friends every single week. We come to you first and third Friday of every month, except for next month, and we'll talk about it in a second. You can find us on LinkedIn. That's probably the best place to get us. X, not so much. We do have an email, but don't use it. Use Success. And hopefully everyone on the call will be able to help you if you've got a question, you've got a concern, you got a challenge. So the hashtags are all legit on the majority of the forums. And jumping right over to upcoming events, June and July are pretty busy. Dreaming is happening right now.
Right
Southeast
now.
Buckeye are the next couple weeks. We've got Midwest Dreaming July 16th, Santa Barbara and SoCal in the end of July. And there's even more coming in August, and we'll keep you posted. But if you need to find them, please use salesforce.com/events to get the current list and support your community events.
Yay.
And if I activate.
Yeah, you're in
All
charge of the
right.
slides.
There's your QR for registration. If you are on the call, you know these rules, but we still got to go through them every single time. So we want everyone on the call to share what they know, what they've experienced, their life lessons, their Salesforce lessons, whatever they might be. You can post links and resources in the chat. If you've got a question, just raise your hand or add it in the chat, and we'll get to you in the order they're received. We always want to have fun. Clearly, we're giggling when we start the call, but keep it professional, keep it positive, and remember we're recording, and that means two things. Please don't share anything that's private or proprietary. We're not going to edit it out, so we want to make sure that you're protected. And you cannot, if you can't be recorded, then we have to ask you to drop. And under no circumstances can we allow people to transcribe or record the call with an AI tool. So you may have seen the Zoom blocking you if you tend to use that. So with that, unless I missed anything, I'm going to jump right into the calendar. So as I mentioned when we kicked off, July 4th is the first Friday of the month in July, and we want everyone to have a nice long weekend and celebrate Independence Day. So we're not going to meet that week. 2 weeks later, which would be the 18th, is the Midwest Dreaming user group, or not user group, community meeting, and so we're not going to meet for that one either. We're hoping to see many of you there. And so we'll kick off again right away the first Friday of August. Did I miss anything, Joey? Cool.
Mm-mm.
All right. So there was a question and a post, both having to do with flow in Success. I didn't see Colander join, but he might be there. He's a bit of a ninja.
Wasn't he
But
wasn't he in London last week? Like
was
that
he?
man, that man travels.
He
Yeah.
does.
Who?
Michael Klodner.
Yeah. Well, at least he was for the beginning of the week.
And you saw him, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, he was at London's Calling and the Sprint.
Fantastic. And then Michael is on.
He
So
is, and he got a couple of responses, but I thought this would be a great way to kick off the topic. So, Michael, would you mind coming on and giving us a rundown of what you're shooting for as far as that flow post that you put in
Sure.
Success?
Yeah, so myself and Allison, who's also on the call, co-lead the Salesforce admin group. We've got a large amount of well seasoned and experienced Flow users, but we also have a large portion of new administrators and people looking for jobs and things like that. So what we were looking to present is just kind of some resources for learning flows, but also potentially go through like a course with our users to teach them the basics of flows, how to think about building automations and what other things to consider when you're doing automation building. So I was curious if anybody had any resources that might be similar or might have experienced some sort of educational elements like that for their users, for just to themselves or whatever. So I was looking for feedback on that.
Cool. And I did see a post or two that responded, but doors open for everyone else.
I know
And if
Andy's
somebody wants to
got
put a course together,
yeah.
I am more than
They're
welcome
they're
to
they're out there.
accept that.
They're out there.
Yeah.
I know Andy's got is it Udemy, whatever they call that. I only read it. I don't hear it ever. So I know Andy, what's Andy's last name? Someone can tell me. Yes, has
You
some
could say
flow.
it.
That one. No,
Utkin. It's Utkin.
Yeah, Linda's got it right.
Yep.
Andy's got some resources out there. Jen Lee has got a bunch of sources out there. And off the top of my head, because didn't come prepared, everyone else did. There's a whole bunch of stuff though. So we will put those together in the chat. Unless someone on the call whoa, where'd y'all go? There you are. I swear, you guys, new computer is making me crazy. If you have a resource that you like, pop it in the chat, and then we'll get to that collected. But Michael, I do have some things that I will work on putting together, and we can do a fast follow, and I'll get those in the
Great.
community group.
I
What was
will
Andy's
offer-
name again?
UTKAN.
IN.
UTKIN, and he has a YouTube channel, and he's got a Slack group, and he's got a whole bunch of stuff. And he's got some free resources and some paid resources. So there's a whole series of things. If you're looking to find someone to speak to your community group, though, Michael, I don't know what region you're in, or if what your plan is for that. If you're just like kind of pushing out a mini kind of like a mini resource to the people who are looking to do that, to that small group. Maybe it's a Salesforce Saturday situation. There's a number of different trails and super badges, Linda. There's definitely Flow super badge. So the super badge is a little bit more challenging for beginners because they might not know the concepts to transcribe that into Salesforce speak, but
There may
that's-
not be a super badge anymore now that they're doing that trimming.
There's
So-
still a few that are live, and then there's new ones coming. Maybe.
Yeah, they're definitely super badges, but maybe not for Flow. I don't know.
No, there are for
Are
Flow.
there? Cool.
Okay.
I was going to offer too the content that you're direct to. Now that everybody has access to those partner certs, the automation cert has a learning path that's different than Trailhead. There's a little bit of Trailhead too, but there's also a bunch of recordings and videos and stuff. There's some great content there. It might not be friendly for like a presentation, but it's something that you could use to build or redirect as well. I thought that content was pretty good and got kind of really into the thick of it versus maybe like the user-friendly Trailhead side of it. So it depends on what your message is. And there's lots of us who love Flow and would be happy to help if you need some help.
No, thank you very much. I knew this was the space to ask. So
Not me. I asked the people on this call for help with Flow. All right. So that'll get you.
So
We're
yeah,
all
the
gonna
other-
put
It
the
is
resources in.
KAN, but I'll find it.
And then I post some things in chat to see if that helps. Does anybody know anything about the Flow Fest? Like I heard about it on the admin podcast not that long ago, but doesn't look like there's any recent activity on that event.
I don't know.
Can't say that I'm familiar.
It's like Demo Jam, except it's all about flows and they compete.
Okay.
Mm.
It could be creation of a new flow with a prompt, or I shouldn't use the term prompt, sorry. With a user scenario to address. And then there's also ones where they'll have a predetermined flow in a managed package that's defunct and you have to go and fix it, and then you present how you fixed it.
I will say that depending on the size of your user group, one of our best sessions that I was part of was we did circles of success kind of, but led that way. We basically were like, here's the resources, as a table, come up with some ideas, draw it, don't build it, because it's so much faster to do Post-its and stickies than it is to do it, like make it functional. It can really turn into a kind of a fun exercise where everybody kind of shares or compares or why did you do it that way? And it's a great way to learn as well. So. Right.
All right. So Michael, you're gonna get flooded in the chat. So
which is great. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you all.
You'll be able
I don't
to
mind it.
yeah, so I think Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the top of the chat window, there's the 3 dots and you have an option to save the chat. There might be some other crap that comes along with that, but that'll save you from copying and pasting
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
each. So if more resources come along, you can grab that. Okay, so the other Michael Klodner's not on. Sorry to miss you, Michael Klotner. We'll catch you when you come back. And then Kathy had posted in the chat that she had an issue come up. Kathy, do you want to?
Yeah, I have a client that I just sort of pop in to help. So they have, I said, an activity capture. The system admin on if you go into the personal settings, you know, from your profile, little doohickey. I figured out I got them so they could see connected accounts, so they can see the email and calendar accounts in the Salesforce and Microsoft team, but they cannot see the one that says video accounts. So they can't capture video calls. And I keep looking, I've been looking all morning at helps, and they like say, click on Salesforce schedule. I can't find Salesforce scheduler. You know, I'm finding close to, but not exactly what all these help things are suggesting. So help. I'm just trying to give permission so these other users, I give them a permission set that will allow them to be able to do the video part.
So
Like, yeah.
just want to get a couple clarifying questions. Did you say activity capture?
Well, they do have Einstein
Okay.
EAC.
Yep.
The video's turned on, the Microsoft Teams is turned on. I thought it was they just needed to add their connect their Microsoft Team account and it should work, but that doesn't seem to be helping.
In the search, I found meeting type configuration. Do you have video conferencing configured
Video
within
conferencing.
Salesforce scheduler?
Hold on. Let me check.
Also, this is not from my brain. This is from Google being really smart. I just was searching while you were talking.
I'm sorry, what
The in Salesforce scheduler meeting type configuration. It says ensure that the specific meeting type within Salesforce scheduler is configured to generate Microsoft Teams links. You should find a setting for this under video conferencing when editing the meeting type.
Okay, because yeah, if I pull up Salesforce scheduler, I just get event management, appointments, payments, multi-resource scheduling, which is turned on.
So I'm not super familiar with scheduler. Maybe you can fill me up. Does scheduler trigger from Salesforce and push out, or does it connect externals in?
I'm not overly familiar with it either, so that's why I'm struggling with
'Cause if-
this.
And the reason I'm asking is because like if they're Teams meetings that you're trying to pull in with EAC versus scheduler trying to connect out, I'm wondering if I don't know, but I'm wondering if it's two different like configurations.
Could be. Yeah, because there's a Microsoft Teams video setup, which everything seems to be turned on here. And that's, like I said, that's where I thought that I mean, there's something here, but Microsoft Teams admin sign in required, but I don't have that permission.
So you'd have to coordinate with or have
Yeah, so
your
it
client
could-
coordinate with their Teams admin.
yeah, it could be that that's what's missing. Okay. I will, I'm on a call with them later this afternoon, so I'll see if that works. If not, I'll be back.
Yeah, there was some I spotted something from December of 24 that mentioned this also, but I'm sure you've been all over the help. So
Yeah.
okay.
but thank you anyways.
The coordination between the systems, like the system admins, is always something that I find a little bit tricky, because as a Salesforce admin, I'm like, oh, I've got access to everything I need. And then as soon as you like start like plucking in other systems, you're like, I can only like knock on this door, and then I have to like speak the language of the people on the other side of that door so that they know what I'm asking for. Because if I ask for a cup of flour and I get a cup of sugar, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Nope.
Well, and not to be below the line, but don't forget too that Microsoft and Salesforce don't play nice, and so don't assume they're gonna, even if it's supposed to.
Right.
Yeah, no, and you know, if it wasn't for the fact that there's just the owner who has system admin permissioned,
Mhm.
which in this particular case is fine. He's
Right.
actually, he's picking it up really well. So, I'm not worried about that. He could see it. I'm not on Microsoft Teams, so I
Yeah.
can't
Right.
see it. So, yeah.
Right.
So
but
let me,
yeah.
sorry, I just want to make sure I understand, because maybe you just said something. So the system admin in Salesforce is able to see the recordings or be able to see the connector. What are they actually able to see?
I'm just trying to find, he says, it looks like their Teams recording is still not showing up in the video calls object. I can't even find the video calls object.
Okay.
And maybe that's the problem, is I can't see it, so maybe I can't actually do anything about it.
Because you're not a system admin?
No, I am a system admin, but like I said, I'm not on
But is there
Microsoft
a
Team.
right? You're not on Teams, and so I'm wondering if there's some permission tied to you seeing that object when you get the Teams connected.
Because it's if it's like the way Files Connect works, they're not actually in Salesforce. You just got to link back over to Teams to see them, and so maybe there's a configuration there. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. Okay. Yeah,
That was a
because if
fun
I
one, Kathy.
type in video calls or video calls object, all I get is delete video calls from Einstein Sales. That's not helping me. So, okay. Yeah, like I said, I'll see about them citing in on their site and see if that helps things.
Okay.
But anyways, on to the next person. Enough of me.
Do we have another one?
I didn't see anything come in, but that doesn't mean we can't beg for one.
I got a quick one, Squire, if you got a second.
Oh yeah, sorry.
there
I'm
was a
sorry.
Matt
Yeah,
thing.
Kathy the Matt.
I even said
Um,
Matt was up next, and I'm sorry.
All good. Is anyone aware of an app or tool or anything that provides the essentially like where's this used function for standard objects, standard fields? Seems like there'd be an app for that.
Specifically field level or all things is something you're targeting?
Yeah, field level. So, you know, like the where is this used is amazing. You can see all the flows and formulas and validation rules where a custom field is used. And
Mhm.
when it's a standard field, you know, there isn't like a simple way to look and see like what all flows, you know, leverage this field. So I was just wondering if someone had come across an app that does something like that.
All right, so let's see.
Salesforce Inspector, download the metadata.
It's a good
I-
idea.
It's one
feel-
of the suggestions. Linda, you tell
Yeah,
me.
I feel like I pull all my permission sets into VS Code and I do searches in VS Code when I need stuff like that. It's not ideal, but
I did actually come across that solution, and that's another great idea. It's a little bit difficult, but it's a great idea. So
I would also, because I just came from an architecture Trailblazer community thing, I would check out Agentforce for developers in Visual Studio Code, and after you download everything that is with the XML files, and then ask it in the little prompt thingy and see if it'll return where these are referenced. Because
thank you.
the manual searching, to Linda's point, I definitely have done that before. It's not fun, especially
It's
if you're using things like name. It's gonna pull back a lot of
yeah, name is
bugs.
not going to work, but
Yeah,
a lot
but
a unique
you might be able to
Mhm.
use Agentforce for developers and see if you can put that in the prompt and see what you can get back. which is available for everybody on all orgs now. And it's part of the expanded extension on Visual Studio Code.
Thank you.
I do have one other comment around this. This idea does exist in the idea exchange. I put the link in there. Go in there and you can upvote it. And a year ago they said that this wasn't a priority, but that doesn't mean we can't still poke at it. So
Does anyone use Element, and would that help? I know it's a paid, but maybe there's lots of other tools there. It might be an opportunity to invest and get more than just this feature out of it.
perhaps.
I'm a big fan only because you had to do it for so many years of doing it via the metadata. It's also a little, but sometimes it's even more informative, even though it's way more painful. And we're even using Code Builder now, so we don't have to have the IDE. We can just use the code-based metadata extract. So we're kind of staying in the browser. So, but there's got to be a better way than that.
Hmm.
I've been processing. There was a competitor to Elements Cloud. I shouldn't say competitor, like the first people there.
Adjacent.
Yeah. Field Trip was good,
Aw.
but more about page usage, not automation usage, right?
Mhm.
More like record usage, like data usage, like
Right.
completion. Same with Field Pro.
Yeah. We just downloaded Cuneiform. Anybody done this sort of thing with it, Jana?
I have installed it. I haven't played with it yet. But
We-
somebody had demoed it. I think it was for Gordon Lee's user group. It looks pretty impressive.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
We just
Check
got
out
we're
Happy
using
Soup,
it
too.
to do our permission comparisons, and it's been great. So yeah, it'll be good to push it farther.
Yeah, check out that Happy Soup IO. It has minor limitations, but it does have a standard field. Whereas this,
I was
Thank
trying
you.
to use Happy Soup last week and it wasn't working. It was broken. So hopefully it's fixed.
Last thing I could think of is and Matt, I bet you already did this, but sometimes unofficial SF has got a little tag for this kind of call out, like, hey, if you need to do this, use this, whatever.
Mm.
Okay.
But that's just throwing a dart. I just know that's just inevitably one of those. These are one of those things that just pop up in that list of, hey, did you know?
Lots of good ideas. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Mhm.
We're gonna come back in a couple weeks and talk all about Cuneiform.
In August. Yes.
Yeah.
In August. Because we're not coming back in July.
And it'll give us time to actually use it. So
Yeah, July's for, vacation and, holidays. And so we said what our next meeting is August something.
yeah,
August 1st.
That sounds right.
that does sound right. So
I mean, last meeting we didn't know what month it was. So.
that's true. That is true.
I just can't believe it's
The end of June.
half of half the month, half the year is gone. Half the month is gone.
It's June 20th, and so you have 6 months until your holiday shopping, your winter shopping, happens. So all those things. So if you do early things, like you do crafting for the winter, or you do, shopping earlier for your winter holidays, then now's the time to start.
It just got warm.
Come down to Texas. It's been warm.
Oh, okay. Here's
Ooh,
a funny thing. When I
All
was
right,
over-
Kathy, hold on. We have an actual question. Susan's got it in the
okay,
chat.
never
so-
mind.
Susan, thank you.
All business, Joy. Gee.
I know. I'll talk about holiday nonsense in a minute, but Susan, talk to us about what you have going on.
I will. Let me turn on my video. Is it on? No. There I am.
There it is.
Hi there.
Okay, so I have started with a custom object.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lookup to another custom object.
Mm-hmm.
So it's complaints. I can tell you this without any impropriety. the custom object is complaints. It has a lookup to physicians.
Mm-hmm.
They're both custom objects. I wanted to do a POC to show the differences between, oh my God, I don't want to get into the weeds. Anyways,
That's okay.
so I created a second object for a POC to show the different ways that you can have a lookup field, either looking up to the name or looking up to another custom field. So I created that, created a couple of records to show the POC, decided that we didn't want to do that, thought that I deleted the records, and then tried to delete the POC object. And now I can't delete it because it's telling me that it's still related to the complaints.
The
I'm
so the
oh, what do you-
records are in the recycle bin, or they
I looked in the recycle bin. Oh, so I deleted the field too, the lookup field into the POC. So then I undeleted the field from the recycle bin because I thought, okay, well, let's start over. And there's no data using that field, but yet Salesforce is telling me that that custom object is still related to the complaints custom object somehow. I can't figure it out.
is the so the field might be hung up. Like I think it sits for 24 hours. Someone correct me if I'm imagining this. Is it 24 or 48 hours? Like delete this object with data or delete this object without data, or
Yeah, you
hard.
should be able to go to that list and just permanently delete it, even if it is holding it, right? It's
Mhm.
you can permanently delete.
Bye, Aurora. The Anne says she just submits a ticket to Salesforce and they can figure it out. But I want to say, and I, the thing is, I'm like mentally like envisioning this, and it's in Classic, and I'm really like, I don't remember if I've tried to do this in Lightning.
I even tried to do stuff in Classic. Like I thought, oh, let's go over to the magic land of Classic and try to do it, and nothing.
So are we sure? Are you sure that the field has been permanently deleted, not just deleted, but permanently deleted from the object?
When you restored it, that's where I'm confused. Is it restored?
Yeah, I deleted it and then I restored it.
So where
So if
it's,
you-
But let me see if it's sitting in the recycle bin.
I mean, you won't see. I don't think you'll see the field in the recycle bin. You'll see the records, but if you deleted the field, it'll be on the object in deleted.
Oh, okay.
In
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
deleted field section.
Yes, but let me double check.
Yep. And if you'd like to share, you can. If you're not comfortable, that's okay.
I can share. Let
And
me
don't
look.
they normally, whenever it says delete, and doesn't it give you an inventory of where the reference points are that you need to then resolve? Like, hey, it's mentioned
Yeah.
this flow or blah,
Only
blah,
if
blah,
you
blah.
have to. I mean, if you don't have to delete it, if you don't have to resolve those, then it doesn't tell you, right?
right.
Oh,
Okay, so we're gonna go to the object is called Physicians to Test. And the field.
And so if you
There's
go
in the
field-
upper right, it says new or deleted fields.
okay, so it's not
Nothing.
there.
That's good.
Yep. So if you just go back then.
Let me see if, I don't know, it's gonna magically work today, because sometimes that happens.
What we cut you off. Is the field had been deleted from your field list, right?
It had been, yeah.
Well, I mean,
'Cause
like
thought,
when
well,
you
I'm
brought
gonna
up
delete the field so that. Yeah, it's still doing it.
Okay,
So
so
let's click on that and see.
Oh, sorry. I know what
All
it is.
right.
So the field that I had here was called Physician 2, and it's deleted. So
so go to the deleted fields link again from here. See, it's not gone.
So this is where you can say erase
Mm-hmm.
or undelete. And so when you erase, it's going to be that hard delete that we've been talking about, like getting it completely wiped, because right now it's kind of hovering
Okay.
and
Yes.
waiting to make sure. And so, yeah, delete.
And a quick hint too, when you tried to delete and it gave you that error, the
Mhm.
links in that error take you to the thing you need to fix. So if you don't back up or jump, it would have taken you right here and showed it to you. So
Mhm.
now
Oh.
you should be able to do the delete you're expecting, because it's gone forever now.
All right, let's try it. Mm. Oh my God.
Yay!
Woo-hoo!
Success! I love it. 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 I love it.
Thank you, team.
You bet. Teamwork makes the dream work. Isn't it crazy that it makes it so hard to figure out where that field went when you deleted it? Like you're saying, in
Yes.
Classic, it used to be like a secondary section, and it was so easy to see. And now it's like, no, we're gonna make it hard to tell. And even the recycle bin, like I'm restoring records, but I'm not restoring the metadata that I deleted, and it's not super obvious. So yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I'm so
thank you.
glad. I'm so
I
glad.
appreciate that.
Susan,
Saved
your
my life.
reaction was exactly what I needed today.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we all just need that quick win, and it's just like, why do I have to keep tripping on this thing? Like, let's get it out of the way. It's fantastic.
Can I say something? A little celebration.
Yeah.
It's been well over a year since I've done outside of whatever I had to do to get, innovator status for Agentforce. It's been over a year since I've done anything configuration declarative wise, and I'm so happy I still can recall some of those things. So thank you, Susan. I feel like this has been ultimately like a
My
fun
pleasure.
for me.
I think one of those things is like when you learn the hard way, it sticks with you.
Yeah.
And so Susan, you're not going to forget this.
I will not forget this. Yeah.
Because you're like, I went through all these paths, and it was dead end, and then finally we found the pathway. So excellent. Do we have any other questions?
I've not seen anything yet.
Is Will still on? Will's on. I'm so excited for Will.
What's that?
How's the new gig?
Has anybody worked with public sector solutions?
What's your question, Will?
There is no question. There is no question.
What specifically is your are you asking? Like, just is anyone else like familiar with
It's
working in public sector, or?
yeah, well, so here's what it is. Working in Service Cloud, Sales Cloud, Salesforce Maps, bunch of stuff. Flip over to public sector solutions. That's like 6 or 7 ERDs alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean,
Wah, wah.
it's not going to help, but FSC is the same way. You're like, we're just going to install FSC, and then you get like a library book of ERDs to be like, oh, and it's some of it applies and some of it doesn't, and yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not complaining. It's more of a, yeah, there's a learning curve, and it is it's gonna be a learning curve.
Well, the good news is you can still create fields the same way. It's just
Yes.
understanding how it all works together.
Yes. Well, and you
Trial
want to
by
know,
fire is always the best thing.
Yeah.
it
Learn while
is.
you burn.
It is. Well, and truth be told, while I was off camera, I'm trying to learn OmniScript because that's a whole nother tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
Why you say that? It seems like a powerful tool, but
Oh
It
yeah, very, very, very. It is. So in my opinion, not other than just if you never had to do Omni Studio or like anything that falls into that space, and you knew Flow, there's going to be lots of times where you're like, I could do this with Flow. With the exception of like Omni Studio DocGen is actually pretty cool, but like it just feels like it feels like you went into the wrong classroom. You're like, why am I in here again? So yeah.
yeah. So FSC is Financial Services Cloud.
Yep.
Yeah. So you use FSC?
Unfortunately, yeah.
So glad I don't have to use it.
Yeah.
Kind of where I'm landing is it's sad to leave Sales Cloud and Service Cloud and some of the simplicity that's in there, but the reality is that with public sector solutions and probably FSC, there are just so many other tools like DocGen
Mhm.
that you don't have in these other clouds.
Mhm.
And so
Yep.
having those tools now is pretty awesome. The problem is wait, how do I use those tools? Because I didn't even know OmniScript was a thing until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and start using data raptors. You'll be like, oh, look at me. I know all this stuff that nobody else knows. It'll be great.
Yeah.
There's some really great FSC Omni Studio user groups. Most of them are online. So as you start getting into it, dig them up because there's a lot of people who know that stuff, like we know Sales Cloud, right? So
There
Yeah,
seem to be a lot of YouTube things on it too.
yeah,
it's all out there. But
Exciting.
I could switch the conversation, Joy, to something that we could have a nice, fun, engaging conversation about that gets to architectural and design questions. Yeah, all right. I see interest.
Let's do that. Like, I just don't know what bus I'm gonna get rolled under. So
There's no
One thing.
bus.
what's
This
up,
is for
Ann?
Will. If you have some challenges, I would also look up velocity without the E, just in case there's documentation for Omni scripting that's still branded on the old name, right? So that might
Oh,
help. So
What- it was-
VLOCITY. And I'll have to see. I know I'm certified. Lord help me because I couldn't use it now. I am certified, but like, so let me see if I have any documentation surrounding it. But I would recommend maybe hitting up the old name and see if there's some obscure unlocking treasure box of documentation for you
yeah.
under the old name.
Thank you. I didn't even know it had an old name of Velocity. That's good to know.
you know,
Can't
like
beat them,
Insurance
buy
Cloud-
them.
Insurance Cloud, Omni Studio, and something else was actually originally Velocity. So you'll see it actually if you look at the installed packages, they're all namespaced Velocity still.
I love that. I always love knowing the history because sometimes there is like you just said, little
Mhm.
nuggets that are hidden in that old stuff. You just
Yeah.
got to know that it was there.
Yep. Salesforce didn't floss it all out yet.
No.
They
So
don't really even try. I mean, Wave.
listen, if you go into the marketing cloud and account engagement space and you read that documentation, they literally say in multiple places, we wish
Exact
we could get
target.
rid of the old name.
Exact target. Exact
It's
target.
so hard. It's
No,
everywhere.
that's the Pardot one.
Oh,
Exact target is marketing cloud engagement.
oh, sorry. But both of them have the stuff so far embedded into it that it's not going away.
Yeah.
And not
Radiant
unlike
Fit.
Steel Brick. Quick quote. Look at all those objects. QQ.
Informatica, yeah, it'll be great.
Oh no, don't even bring that one up. We'll see. That's too fresh, Squire.
Yeah.
This is amazing. You all are just like chilling with your stuff and your orgs are going great. I love it. But Will, you had a bus you wanted to like see if I would roll under or not.
No, no,
Uh,
no. It's not a bus. It's here's the interesting thing. So New Gig is switched to being a partner and supporting customers out there. And one of the things that we're seeing, and this is why I left corporate to come into this, is helping public sector and nonprofits use the power of Salesforce
mhm.
as the customer 360. We'll just call it what it is at the end of the day. It gets really complicated pretty quickly when you have different funding sources. So depending on what you're doing, whether you're doing TANF or food stamps or the thing I came in for is called HMIS. Each one of these federal agencies have their own requirements that
Mhm.
funded groups need to follow. So where the fun architecture question comes into play is, okay, let's keep it simple. All of these programs need to track a person
Mhm.
and they're going to track basic demographics. But believe it or not, different federal agencies or state or whatever, whoever the funding agency is, will use different classifications or different pick list values for the same fields. They don't unify under one common thing. Like, I don't know, the US Census Bureau put a lot of thought into it, but no, we need our own versions.
Yep.
So the fun architectural question is, how do you design a system, or what products would you use as a partner to package it where the end user can select whatever, we'll just pick on race, one specific race category, but then when they export it, it's a charity, it gives them the right category that they need for that funder.
For the
So
reporting.
it's almost like you need a decision matrix is where my head goes, but
Well, or just a translation table that's to store that says, hey, this is what we use and this is how you have to use it for this reporting.
which means you're gonna have
Mhm.
to write, yeah, it's custom, which is
It
fine.
is.
You can do that as a partner.
Yeah.
I
it's gonna
mean,
be
you
custom.
can, I mean, you could build it out a little bit so that it's reusable. Like, I mean, once you have it like kind of created in your own back pocket, you have the table to translate A in this column equals red in this column equals 3 in this column. And so like depending on who's allowed to see which column, they get that that thing.
Yeah, it's like a crosswalk table. Squire, you
Yeah.
look very confused.
I'm just processing, man. I'm trying to. I want to listen. I mean, I'm feeling like what I'm hearing is. I mean, I love the idea of translation table and but like a custom one because it would be reusable, right?
Yes.
So to make sure I understand, so as a user, I'm looking at my Salesforce implementation and I'm choosing from a pick list that's A, B, and C for this.
Yep.
But when I present that data to someone else externally through an integration, reporting, what?
Yeah, all of the above.
Then I need to be able to say, like, well, when I send it to Office 1, A is of Z and B is like, so you basically, it has to be that way. Like, and I would assume it also has to be manageable by me as the owner of the platform.
I mean, ideally you would design it that way because isn't that how you want to do things generally as a partner, is you make
Want to make it usable for the customer, yeah.
Yeah, in certain situations. I mean, there's going to be other things where you're going to be like, no, we're going to control that feature, and that's just how it has to be.
Right.
Well, and if
But,
you're
you know.
controlling it, doesn't it make more sense to use, sorry, so use something like Mule that can create and transform your data within, its API?
Yeah, so interesting thing that I've been rolling around is the particular standard that I was hired to help build out has very meticulous requirements. Salesforce did build an accelerator for this very product in the last, I don't know, 2 months, and they just released it. They've been working on it for over a year. So the good thing is that they're at the table and they're happy to have the conversation. But where it's going is, when you have all these complexities and different funders, and this is just one example of the complexities, what do you use? So Linda, you said Mule. Yeah, okay. Do I need to start talking to Salesforce of like, hey, as a partner, we need to figure out together what is our bundle of SKUs that we need to put together in order to make this as an effective thing, where it keeps the complexity at the right level.
Am I thinking of it too simplistically? So the key thing is your constituents, I'm assuming, can be a beneficiary of multiple agencies. Therefore, race is race is defined differently per the agency, as you mentioned. So you need to be able to capture the various different applicable race definitions by agency. And so that's why I was saying it's a two-key data relationship. You would have to define on the constituent as to what's been applied to that individual, but then also a reference table in the back that says, okay, for food stamps, it's this. For this agency, it's that. But then you would have to, again, it is custom because the UI would have to be able to pivot. Okay, when you're defining or viewing, what agency context do you need to have, or do you want to export everything across multiple agencies, what the demographic definitions are for this particular constituent? So it is something that can be done, but it's definitely custom. And I don't know if it needs MuleSoft as long as you're able to build that framework to do that constant pivot of what is the context of the agency, to pull back the reference table, to pull back the applicable appropriate list of values to then present in the UI. And then again, to view it, it'll say like, okay, do you want to see across all agencies, or which context or which agency context do you need to see this constituent in?
Yeah, so
Or,
typically,
or do you architect that to build it based on, say, the 3 most popular choices that those types of firms go with for their basic options, and have that built out already for the different services?
Yeah, I'd
That
be afraid of
mapping.
scaling there. Sorry, you were gonna say something, Will.
no, I think some of the considerations are going to be like, to what user. Sorry, I'm listening. We have a puppy, and I think they're getting in trouble. Hold on. They're actually getting in trouble, and I'm the only buddy who can see them.
And he took off his headset, so he can't hear us, right?
No, he can't hear us. He'll have to watch the recording. No.
Because I was gonna say the other one is, I think, to simplify it and not go the crazy route that I'm doing with the multi-armed approach, is to your recommendation, Linda, we would have to rationalize and be able to support, like you said, the top 3 of common things to simplify it. But there's multiple ways we can achieve this. Do we want it to the nth degree, which is what I was talking about, or do we want to say, okay, here, let's hit the 80%, and then this way we could reduce the necessary customization that would be required to support this framework.
Well, and where I go a little bit too with this is maybe it's just my current favorite idea to wrap my head around, but I get to custom metadata, because when you're using all kinds of places in the platform, those don't count against any limits.
And it's
packageable, right?
Plus you can deploy it.
Yep.
Which I love.
It's
So I
packageable,
guess
but it's harder when you're asking the customer to customize it. when
Yeah,
you're
and that's what I was
using
gonna
it.
ask is if as a person invests in this, are those groupings unique every time, or is there a standard? Because that would be my biggest concern, is the scalability of saying, well, we're going to limit it to 3, or we're going to build it this way. Like,
Yep.
My thought is, why wouldn't you architect it in such a way that whether you care about 1 conversion table or 50, you can build them from a UI to do whatever you needed to do infinitely. And that shouldn't be difficult, right? Because you've got like a UI level of these records, and then you've got an interface that's like, oh, and here's my conversion tables, and you can reference that in whatever form, whether it's reporting, whether it's snapshots, whether it's integrations with, it scales because it's data and it's buried, but it's applicable. I mean, I guess that's the trade-off, right?
Yep. Well, and then the other challenge though is, okay, you can put these reference tables in the background, but then how do you share with the end user what that looks like, or do you even care if the end user understands that?
Well, that's why I was saying you would need to build a custom component that would be able to say, as an end user, I define or select what agency context, or if you're able to drive that, magical, cool. Otherwise, they need to set, okay, am I looking at, food stamps versus, even nonprofits have specific demographics that's outside of the government agency that they, for reporting purposes.
Yep.
So for me, your reference table should be agency or organization, the demographics. So that would be like race, age, industry, whatever. And then like the value that's applicable for that agency times demographic.
Yep. So here's a fun one too. And maybe somebody's done this already. One of the reporting agencies requires that it's basically each field gets packaged into one CSV file, and then all the questions get packaged into a single zip CSV.
That sounds terrible.
Can you
Yeah.
repeat that? Sorry, I was distracted by my puppy sleep crying. Say that again.
Well, at least yours wasn't trying to destroy something in the house. So
No, he's already shredded up a fitted sheet. So in the guest room, so he's already done that. He's recovering from that. So what was the question again?
he's recovering from the.
He got in trouble and he's crying about it now. Oh my goodness.
Puppies.
Yeah.
No, so one of the funding agencies, their export requirements are that basically every question has to be exported out of the system as a single CSV. So we'll just call question 1 gender. So that's one CSV file with some specifications around that. It could have 100 rows, which would be an individual, or it could have, 10,000. And so then all those individual CSVs, which represent a single question, get bundled together in a single zip.
And that's where my technical knowledge goes. Bye. I'm sure that so given that a CSV is a relatively simple thing to export, right? If you define and architect it well, you define on how it's scaling, vertically, horizontally, etc. So again, it's custom, but you should be able to build that, in my opinion. But I'm not a developer. Warren?
Linda, what are you thinking? You're on mute.
That it sounds ugly. I feel like we were doing that with something at a last job, and then it got canceled at the last minute, which was great.
Yeah. Well, this particular, we actually had a meeting earlier today with the contractor with this federal department, and they write the data manual, and that group said that we were building an API specification to do all this, but then the winds changed in the past couple of months, and that project got paused for the moment, which everybody got sad about. But Joy, I
And you
can
didn't
keep.
even post that link. What the heck?
Oh.
People will follow you to your 2 o'clock meeting, Anne.
Oh, okay. I'll let me find it. My bad.
Anne has Dom on, Astro's mom on with her community group meeting.
No, not
that
my
she's
community
going-
group. I saw that
that she's going to. That
Yeah.
she's going to. So, and Will, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Joy, I can keep it going. I can pick another topic that.
No. Do we have any other questions before Will just, keeps
I didn't see
chatting?
anything. I love this. Like my brain is jumping all over the place for the first question you had. I'm still like, there's so many ways to accomplish that, and then like, okay, then you have to answer the questions about packagability and sustainability, and I love it. I love it. I mean, like this, it screams to me an opportunity to build some like a conversion table, but it persists. And a user interface allow them to build those mappings, and then maybe eventing to be able to say, as things happen, generate these records. So now you've got your source records, almost like snapshots, to feed these CSVs. I mean, it's like this cool like linking of events that like I never get to solve problems like that. Can I come hang with you for a while?
Yes, you're more than welcome to. Squire, I might need to call you anyway, because there's some interesting challenges. So as you talk about making those snapshot records, one of the other complexities of the big model that we have to build out is some values have to be captured at entry. So when they enter a project, at an annual assessment, and at exit. And some of them have to be collected at each of those moments. So it's sort of functionally like the history table for any specific object, but the reality is then it has to be exported. And then there's an additional complexity that if it's program A, you don't have to gather this specific data element, but if it's program B, you do. And so that's where even I was talking to somebody else, and they were like, well, we could use a big data table potentially, just to store all of that. And I was like, that's an interesting idea.
Big data is a challenge from the UI side of things, but like if you just need an infinite log file that you're going to use for integration, then it works great.
Well, and that's where some of the conversations with the Salesforce Accelerator team has been around, well, how do we get this to scale as well?
Yeah.
Because if you talk about this so the base unit of analysis for the system is a collaborative group of agencies in any community. So I live in the south suburbs of Chicago. The group that's out this way, it's like 20 agencies that will
Sure.
use the same data system. But like the state of Wisconsin, they use one data system for all this.
Sure.
And the reporting gets pretty interesting because
Mhm.
each community, even though they're using the same data system, each community needs their export for only their community.
Yeah, so you're adding a level of complexity not only to the data store, but then they be able to segregate it appropriately by these. Yeah, like, whew, yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I mean,
So then
wow,
that's where it gets to, okay, Salesforce, if we had all the tools at our disposal, because I keep going to like, if you purchase Marketing Cloud as a customer, you get CRMA, you get
Right.
5 licenses per business unit plus 1 for the whole instance. Do we just package that together kind of like that? Do we use a mule? But Linda doesn't seem to be a fan of that.
Only because it's a pain to write.
Well,
And because depending on the users that you're dealing with, they're not going to have that level of complexity.
that's exactly a part of the design solution that needs to be in there. And that's where it gets interesting to Squire's mind of like, how do you do this in a way that's scalable and accessible, but also like doesn't make the customer dependent on a partner forever for everything.
Yeah, as soon as you add 3 clouds to your solution, you've killed that part of it, right? So yeah. Wow.
Depends on what the clouds are.
Yeah.
We
All
already
right,
decided
Fred.
we're starting with
I-
public sector solutions, which is the whole thing. And
Yeah.
Squire loves FSC, which is basically the same.
No. That's
No.
recorded. We can go back and prove that.
You sillies. All right, friends, it is on the top of the hour. And so we are going to wrap up for today and we'll see you all back August 1st. If I don't see you in person somewhere between here and there, I'm gonna go places. I'm gonna find places to go and I'm gonna see who I can see. I don't know where those things are yet, but
Hopefully Midwest Dreaming. Well, maybe we'll see each other at home.
it's all up in the air right now.
Yeah.
So we
All right.
will we'll talk to you all soon. We'll continue to have good luck. And Susan, I'm so glad we solved that for you today. Kathy, keep on plugging away at Teams, and well, Michael left. I hope he got his flow. Did we save chat? That's gonna go. This is a new computer. So thanks everybody. We'll talk
Thanks,
to
all.
you in a while. Go do your holiday shopping. Bye.
Bye all.